So the media make all sorts of claims when some tragedy, like what we're dealing with in Uvalde, Texas, takes place. They say this happens too often. Let's be clear, once is too many. All right, so that part we agree with. But they also say that nobody's working to find solutions. That's simply not true. And they also exaggerate the numbers to an extent that is really jaw-dropping. With me to discuss is the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, Dr. John Lott. John, good to see you again. I want to take a look and focus on a piece you just wrote for Newsweek, because you pointed out that Uvalde is one of the school districts that does not allow faculty and teachers to carry concealed on campus. 30% of Texas schools do. In fact, 20 states or more in America allow that to happen. And in those schools, you told me that over the last 22 years, not one of the schools that allows concealed carry by teachers and staff have had anything like what happened in Uvalde happen in those schools. Not one. That's
Right.
remarkable to me.
I mean, it is pretty surprising or shocking in a sense. You have thousands of these schools where you have teachers and staff carrying guns, and they've been doing it, as you say, for over a couple decades in some of these places. You would think you'd at least find one case where there had been an attack, a shooting of some type where somebody had been injured or killed. But in fact, you don't see that. All the attacks occur at those places where teachers and staff are not allowed to be able to go and carry guns for protection. It occurs at schools where you have on-duty uniformed officers or guards, but not at places where you have concealed carry by teachers. And I think, it fits in with a lot of the other things that we know about these types of killers. They want to go to places where they know that their victims aren't going to be able to go and defend themselves. They also find it a lot easier if you only have, let's say, one guard there who's in uniform. They find those places a lot easier to go and attack than where you have many people who you have no idea whether or not who's going to be carrying or not. And this just kind of fits in there. But of course, you just had the Buffalo shooter a couple weeks ago. If people read his manifesto, they would know he's made a statement similar to many other of these attackers, and that is he consciously wanted to pick a target where he knew his victims would not have permitted concealed handguns. He was worried that if his victims had permitted concealed handguns, it would make his job much easier. But he didn't mind going against one uniformed guard that was there because he has a big strategic advantage. He knows where that person is. It's kind of like the guy wearing a neon sign saying that, if you take me out, you'll have free reign to go after everybody else because they know that he's the only person in that area that has a gun.
What you're telling me is what I have said for 10 years. We have a solution. If we put concealed carry, I've said armed guards, but you make a great point. Don't make the armed guard the target. Don't make them the focus of the first wave of attack, if you will. If teachers or janitors or whoever on staff that feels comfortable going through the training and being an emergency person to defend the children, because as we saw in Uvalde, Texas, again, 2 school teachers died. And by all accounts, they died shielding those children from getting killed. Right. These teachers are willing to protect their children, but they have to have some way to fight back. And that's a fact. And so we have a solution. We're spending $40 billion to protect kids in Ukraine. How about we stop that and protect kids here in America? Just a thought, John.
Look, guards can be useful, but my point with regard to guards is that you want to make it so that nobody knows that they're the guard there. Have them also serve as the PE teacher or some other staff member or something. But if you make it so that somebody's readily identifiable as going to be the one person that has a gun, as you say, who's the first person that the attacker is going to take out?
They go after the person with the badge. It puts a "shoot me" sign on their back, right, like I've heard you say. But it is remarkable. In 22 years of the schools in America, you shared this with me earlier on the Steve Gruber show, and what I find remarkable, 22 years, not one school in America that has concealed carry, and more than 20 states allow this, 30% of the schools in Texas allow this, right? They don't allow I mean, they do allow in 20 states. They have not had a single shooting, not one murder, and not one injury, I believe, between 6 a.m. and midnight. I think that would pretty
Right.
much cover all school hours.
Right. Anytime that the teachers are there, actually present at the school, you don't see an attack. There are a couple times at like 2 a.m. in the morning, you'll have some gangs fighting. So these are not necessarily nice neighborhoods where it's occurring. But when you have the teachers and staff actually present there around the school, you don't see any attacks that are occurring. You know, I think it makes a little bit of difference whether you have a sign in front of your school that says the school is a gun-free zone, or you have a sign that says, you know, warning, select teachers and staff are carrying concealed and they will use their gun to protect the students and themselves. You know, one way to think about this is, you know, let's say, God forbid, somebody was threatening you or your family or stalking you. Would you feel safer putting a sign in front of your home that says your home is a gun-free zone? My guess is you wouldn't do that, because it's not like the attacker would go and say, look, I can't go into the home because I'm not allowed to take my gun in there. What people need to realize is that these gun-free zones, I understand the motivation. You think, well, if I just ban guns,
I do as well.
They'll make it safer. But the problem is it actually serves as a magnet for the bad people to go and attack, because they know they're going to have an easier way of doing it. Just read the manifestos.
So what
and
if
diaries.
this? What if we change the signage? What if the signage in front of the local school says, if you come in here and threaten our kids, lethal force is authorized. If you come here to hurt our school kids, lethal force is authorized. If that sign was in front of schools, it might make a difference.
Sure. Well, look, 94% of the successful mass public shootings since 1950 have occurred in places where guns are banned. You know, I can give you dozens of cases on our website at crimeresearch.org where police say what otherwise would have been a mass public shooting was stopped by a concealed carry permit holder. Many of them very dramatic, but they don't get national news coverage. And, you know, I think, you know, these attackers may be crazy in some sense, but they're not stupid. They know if they are going to obtain their goal as killing or wounding as many people as possible, they have to find targets that can't defend themselves. And their goal is, they know that the more people they hurt, the more national and international news coverage they're going to get. And that's often what motivates these guys. They want to commit suicide, but they want to commit suicide in a way that's going to make people know who they were.
You know what's interesting about that, though? You know, the fact of the matter is, if you go around, except for Columbine, most people don't remember these shooters' names after a period of time. Certainly, you know, in different parts of the country, Columbine got different kinds of coverage. So the idea that you're going to be famous or infamous, it's not even true. Sad, John. I'll give you the last word.
Well, I mean, you look at the Sandy Hook killer, okay? He wrote what the police described as a doctoral dissertation, spent a couple of years writing it, where among the things he looked at were mass public shootings over the last 40 years. He actually graphed out the relationship between the number of people killed in an attack and the amount of media coverage that they got. And his goal was to kill more people than the Norway killer, who shot to death 67 people, because he felt that if he could beat that record, which was the highest at the time, that was before the Paris attack where 130 people were killed in France, that he would get more worldwide media attention. So, I mean, these guys very explicitly, you know, think about the media coverage that they're going to get. You see that time after time.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. John, I greatly appreciate you're an education every time you're here, Dr. John Lott. I always appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.